Hello friends and enemies, welcome to or back to Happy for Now. It's me, Isabel, here with my manga favorites and least favorites for 2025. I've also got a little bit of my stats here for you. We did talk about them in like my 2025 wrap up, but I figured we could go a little more in depth here. Not a ton, but I got a little bit of info for you. Basically, I'm going to give you my top 10 reads from 2025 and my 4 least favorites for various reasons, and we'll talk about it. First things first though, let's talk about my stats. I did read 150 volumes last year, which is great. Not my highest, not my lowest. Pretty good year for me. Didn't think I'd hit that goal and I did, so I'm happy. And that totaled about 27,598 pages of reading, so that's fantastic. Demographic wise, this is probably the part a lot of people will be interested in. I read 47 josei volumes, which accounted for 32% of my reading. These percents might be a little off, but I had to I had to round up on a couple. We were not doing points of a percentage. I read 38 volumes of shoujo, which equaled about 26% of my reading. I read 20 volumes of seinen, which equaled 13% of my reading. 17 volumes of shonen, which was 11%. 17 volumes of yuri and BL slash yaoi. I kind of just lumped those together. A lot of my josei reading is also girls love, I feel like, titles, so it all gets kind of mixed together, interestingly, we'll call it. And some of my seinens are seinenais, so the gay ones. So I try to mark most of my BLs and GLs as girls love or yaoi or yuri, just to kind of capture that data better, but it doesn't always happen. So yeah, 17 volumes total between those two for another 11% of my reading. And last but not least, I read 11 volumes of manhwa, which was 7% of my reading, give or take. I do track my manhwas like that because I think it's interesting to see if I'm reading that format or not. So there's that. This list will include manhwas, so get bent if that bugs you. But I lumped this all together because that's what makes sense to my brain. So yeah, those are my stats. I was not surprised to see josei as my lead for reading, and then shoujo second. That's definitely what I read the most. I read a lot of smutty joseis. That is my favorite. And I definitely dabble in a lot of other genres as far as my manga goes. I don't read exclusively just one thing. So it was nice to see these numbers laid out. It was higher than I expected in some ways. So let's dive into my favorites and discuss what I read and loved in 2025, because we'll start with the positives. First things first, these are kind of in no particular order, but slightly in order. It is what it is. I'm also only going to do digital photos because I don't feel like pulling all the books from my shelves. Sorry, not sorry. But they're a mess and I need to reorganize, and I was like, I'm not creating more of a mess right now. So photos of the covers it is. First things first, for my first favorite, I feel like this is not a surprise if you follow my channel for any length of time, but Dangerous Convenience Store. I finished this year. I read volume 6, 4, 5, and 6 in December, like maybe November too, but either way, the last of the month, I read all of this and wrapped up this story, and I loved it. I think it had a fantastic payoff. I think it had a fantastic story overall. I love the art. Everything about this is my favorite. So this follows a boy who is in college working at a convenience store at night, and this older guy comes in, and he's kind of a mob type, Yakuza-y. This is set in South Korea, so it's not Yakuza, so whatever you want to call it, organized crime. And he's like, oh, he's hot. And it is their slow relationship development, and then them hooking up, and then a volume of them apart and growing and things happening, and then them coming together at the end. It was worth it. It was a fantastic 6-volume series. I loved it, loved it, loved it. Cannot recommend enough. I truly had so much fun with this one. I'm very, very happy I read it. Then we have Cherry Magic, 30 Years of Virginity Can Make You a Wizard. I got current on this series in 2025. And I have to say, I'm mad at myself for how long it took me to read this, but I'm not mad that it took me this long, because we basically finish up the whole main couple's story, and I believe we're going to get the other couple's story in the next few volumes, which is fine by me. These are also very skinny volumes, so I will also note that, like, they're quick reads, but they're very small for their price. This series follows a guy who hits 30 and is still a virgin, so he becomes a wizard and he can read people's minds. Him and a coworker have a romance. It's really cute. His other friend also hit 30 and could read minds, and it's just them like finding love, and it's really sweet and very slice of lifey, but it has like just enough tension to keep me engaged in the story and continuing to read it. So there's that. This one is I've only read 1 volume, and it wowed me enough that I already pre-ordered volume 2, and I'm very excited to read more, and that is Winter Wolf. This came out towards the end of 2025, and I'm still thinking about this volume. This has a romance element to it, as well as a mystery on the run element, suspense. That's the word, suspense. Our heroine has run off because everyone is getting killed, and she was like betrothed to the prince or somebody, duke, I don't know. It's, you know, vague historical times. She's on the run. She comes to this guy who's known as like kind of the winter wolf of sorts, and he's gonna help transport her to safety. And it's her staying in this house and him like having this tension, and like maybe the house is haunted, like there's something happening in this like house that they're staying in, and all of that tension. And I'm like, for volume 1, I was like, whoa, wait a minute, I need more of this immediately. That doesn't happen often. And when it does, I do appreciate it and I do enjoy it. So I was very, very happy to have such a good time with this one. And I'm excited to see where it goes. Next, we have one that is up to 3 volumes this year, and that is Takahashi from the Bike Shop. This is a adorable slice of life office worker who's trying to figure herself out, and a guy who owns a bike shop. She is older, he's a little bit younger, and it's their romance, and it is so cute. And their friend group, like, it starts with her going on a date with someone who like makes fun of her interests. And he's kind of a bad boy, of course, and it's just really cute and sweet how he like just likes her interests too and partakes in them, and their like shared connection and navigating this like thing of liking each other. I really, really loved that about Takahashi, and I'm really, really excited for more in this series. We have quite a wait for volume 4. Then we have another manhwa that I read and loved, and that is The Missing O. I read volumes 1 through 3 in the span of no time at all because I liked this that much. And I want to call this out because I think it's a really interesting option for anyone looking for something different that also has a romance plot to it. The Missing O follows 3 girls who live together. It'll be in my volume 1 blog. Spoiler alert, I guess. But they live together, and she had this like kind of traumatic night, and this guy saved her and they hooked up, and it was like the best orgasm of her life. And she's trying to find this man, and the only thing she remembers is him vaguely having a thigh tattoo. So her and her 2 friends are all now on the hunt for the best orgasm of their life, basically, because they realize they're not getting fulfillment in their current relationships and things like that. So on this hunt, she ends up just in interesting situations, and her boss keeps showing up, and I suspect her boss is the guy. But it's that part of the romance. We get one of the roommates' story around her boyfriend who's kind of who's like honestly very shitty to her, and her having that revelation and breaking up with him. We get the other one. She is pursuing a guy, and it turns out he's like not as serious as she thought he was. There's kind of like loose cheating happening. But I really liked the element of this where we have this like, we have romances running throughout, and then we're really watching these girls navigate life in their 20s and like relationships and stuff. So it felt very different and fresh in a way I did not expect. And I freaking love it. I cannot wait for more. I don't know that we have a date for volume 4 yet, and yeah, I'm just waiting. Next we have Ice Guy and Cool Girl. This is another slice of life office romance similar to Cherry Magic in the size. It's tiny, tiny, tiny. I got current on this series in 2025 as well, and I'm really happy I did. It definitely could get repetitive. I wouldn't marathon these necessarily. I definitely like read a handful and then spaced out the rest. But I really enjoy these because they're so cute. It's just very fun to watch the 2 of them navigate each other. He is a Prince of Ice, or like ice fairy type thing, and he makes things freeze when he's nervous, so that's really funny. And she is like just very sweet, and their development to a relationship was precious. And it definitely takes a minute. It does take a minute. I do need to note that it takes a minute for their relationship to like develop, but I think as you watch them like befriend each other and develop a relationship, it's just really cute and fun. I just had a lot of fun at the end of the day with this one. And I really love when that happens, to be honest with you. It's a nice surprise, right? And I think it can just be really fun to read something like this and it just kind of like sink into a fun, silly setup, you know? And that's exactly what this is. At one point she does go to America for her work and then come back, so we have a bit of a time jump and, you know, awkward confessions, and I just, they're so cute and sweet. It's just one of those things that I absolutely adored it. Then we have one of my favorite smutty mangas that I read this year. I liked all the other ones I read. Listen, I didn't really have a bad time, so I just picked one. But I picked A Suitable Fetish because I felt like it was the most unique of the smutty mangas because we follow different couples with various fetishes, and I really like that. I don't know, I think it's fun. And I thought it was interesting the different kinds of fetishes we have. So like we have one girl, she is hooking up with a guy and getting him to help her try all these different positions. And he's kind of a bit of a submissive, and that's been a discovery for them. There's another girl who like really loves stuffed animals and stuff like that, and that's part of like a thing with his kink where he like wants to have this bear out. either way, I think the dynamics and the exploration of kink in this have been really interesting and different from a lot of the smutty manga I've read. So yeah, I'm excited to read more of this and get volume 5 this year. Then we have Firefly Wedding, which is the most unhinged manga I read this year, probably, honestly, because this features a assassin guy who is sent to kill this girl, and instead of killing her, he agrees to marry her, and they go on the run together, and he is unhinged. Unhinged. Like, she ends up like having to half work at a brothel, and he's like, if anyone touches you, I swear. And I love that energy. I've only read 2 volumes, but I have 2 more to read, and I'm really excited to read them. So for now, it easily lands in my top of the year because it's one that I still think about, and that's kind of how I pick some of these, is like, what am I still thinking about all the time? And this right here, I'm constantly like, how's this gonna go? And then I saw we're getting an anime, and I'm just like, oh great, I cannot wait. That I need this in my life. This is gonna be so fun. But yeah, he's bonkers unhinged, and I love a bonkers unhinged hero. So I'm just in for this. And she's kind of like, what did I agree to here? Because she agrees to be his wife, and he's just like thrilled for it. Obsessed with my wife energy. Love to see it. Next we have The Great Snake's Bride. This is a horror manga that I recommend to anyone who's a bit of a horror baby. Because yes, it has horror elements, but I don't think it's too much. And I think you could skip some pages. But basically our heroine is sacrificed to the snake king in the forest to protect the town that they live in. And in doing so, she actually ends up living with him and helping take care of him, and them having this romance. And in the last volume that I read, you get a lot of discovery around why the village has this like fear of the Snake King and all these like misconceptions they have about the snake in the woods. It's horror though, like there's definitely some horror elements, okay? But I have really enjoyed this. And then last but not least, a very fun, silly manga, which is Otaku Vampire's Love Bite. This has just been filling a hole for me of like a silly paranormal, because our heroine is a otaku vampire. She lives in Japan, she cosplays and does all this stuff in this one fandom she has. Her neighbor looks like the character she's in love with. So it's her like semi-befriending him and navigating that, which has been fascinating to watch. I'm not gonna lie to you, like that's been very interesting. She and him end up doing like things together, and he's like very, very begrudgingly going along with her for things because he's like, you are not safe alone, along with like some vampire politics mixed in, which is just a good time in my opinion. Romance is definitely not like the main plot point here, but I feel like there's a light romance subplot happening. All right, let's talk about my 4 least favorites of 2025, because this might surprise some of y'all. Okay, first things first, one of the first series I finished, I think, in 2025 was Dragon King's Imperial Wrath, the bookish princess of the Rat Clan. Something like this. Here's the cover. I had bought 1 and 2, and then I borrowed volume 3 from Shay. Thank goodness I did not buy it, because I finished volume 3 and I put volumes 1 and 2 of mine into my unhaul pile. I was like, these are not staying in my house. This was such a disappointment. It had a great premise, a great setup happening, and then we just got nothing on the delivery of it, right? Like nothing delivered in the premise. I don't know if it was canceled. I mean, I suspect it was canceled and they just kind of rushed to finish the story, but it felt like such a rushed marriage situation and like relationship and everything. Like it just fell so flat. I don't remember the last time I was this disappointed in the way something ended that was a 3-volume series. Next, I have one that I'm not mad at, but I'm mad at because it kind of ended in a way that had me frustrated, because there's an indefinite hiatus basically for this series, and indefinite hiatuses and I are not friends, okay? It just is what it is, but they annoy me. So that is Mama Akuma. I thought this was really cute, the first volume. I loved it. I was like, this is adorable. Could have been a great standalone. And then I read volume 2, and it ends in a way where I was like, I kind of want volume 3 now. And there is no sign of volume 3, so it is just immediately least favorite, and I've unhauled the series because that's what I do when things do that to me. I'm like, nope, you can leave. Goodbye. I need shelf space for things I love. Next, I have a Girls Love or Yuri title that I just found very bland compared to a lot of other Yuri titles, and that's the 2 of them are pretty much like this. This is an age gap romance between I think she's a mangaka or scriptwriter thing, and the other girl was like an actor, and it's just like very slice of life, but like boring slice of life somehow. And it's Girls Love, and it's barely even there, I feel like, at times, and half of the conflict is just like, oh, I think I'm too old for you at times, and I was just like, this is not it. I don't know, it just really did not work for me, and I have unhauled that series as well. And then last but not least is a series that is staying on my shelves, but I think was a couple volumes too long, and honestly, Probably should have wrapped up a little bit sooner to make it more, just a better ending, because I felt like the ending felt weird basically by the end. And that is Vampire Dormitory. We ended at, how many volumes? 14 volumes. And I think around volume 10 or 11 we could have been done. And there was like this extra storyline added in volume 13 that kind of pissed me off, because I feel like in 14 we wrapped that up too quickly for what was being attempted. And yeah, I just didn't love it. Overall, like, I liked a bulk of the series. It's just the last few volumes to me fell so flat that I'm still pretty disappointed in them, to be honest with you, for a series that like I was reading as it came out and having a blast with. And yeah, I'm just like, this sucks. This was not fun. So there's that. But yeah, that's the last one on my least favorites. I would love to know your favorite manga of 2025 and your least favorite if you got one. Let me know those down below. And if you don't want to do any of that, you can leave me a vampire emoji, I guess, because we had 2 vampire manga. That's so funny. One in the favorites and one in the least. I just realized that as I'm filming. So yeah, you can do that down below. I'll have links to everything down there for you, links to my friend anywhere on the internet, and I will talk to y'all in just a few days. Bye!
Already packing, come with me. I'm not really asking. We'll get away to a place where we don't know. About to see the world in action, what we can be, life with no distractions. We'll get away, this is what we waited for.